former President Donald Trump is going to consider Tucker Carlson, little Tuck, as a vice presidential running mate. Well, at least that is what Trump indicated when pressed. Now, there are a few ways to interpret. Here it is.
Would you consider Tucker Carlson on your VP list?
Oh,
I want to give you a hypothetical here. You're a big sports fan. You know, like Nick Saban's going to retire at some point. And if you talk to the athletic director at Alabama, he would say he has a list. So would Tucker Carlson be on your list of potential VPs? And how many names might be on that list as you sit and look and survey the political field?
Well, first of all, I did my first, you could call it counter programming, but I won't call it that. But Tucker wanted to do an interview during the first debate. And I think because this is what your business is, we broke every record.
Monster audience.
In history. Yeah. I think it just hit over 300 million people. But it was for that evening over 207 million. It then got to 275 within a day or two. And the biggest ever was Oprah's interview with Michael Jackson, which was 125 million. So we almost doubled it. Now, who would have thought that was going to happen? The debate, the last debate they had the lowest audience in the history of presidential debates. I don't know if you know it. And I think the one tonight it's on tonight. And I don't even talk about it.
Would you consider Tucker, though, that based on the
I like Tucker a lot. I guess I would. I think I'd say I would, because he's got great common sense. When they say that you guys are conservative or I'm conservative, it's not that we're conservative. We have common sense. We want to have safe borders. We want to have a wall because walls work. You know what, Ron, I used to say about walls? I'd say wheels and walls. Everything changes. The computer that you have in front of you in about a month from now will be totally obsolete. Right now you have the finest equipment in the world. And in about a month from now, that equipment will be obsolete. The only two things for centuries that's not obsolete are wheels and walls, right?
Pretty good.
No, when you think about it, right? A wheel will always be a wheel. It's never going to change. And a wall will always be a wall.
And
walls
work.
No, walls work. Remember when they were saying walls don't work?
Yeah.
Remember walls?
Joe Biden's got a wall at his beach house, by the way.
Yeah, and he does. And by the way, there are a lot of other walls. Nancy Pelosi has a wall also. And if she didn't have a wall, of course, it didn't work that well with respect to the husband. But, generally speaking, it would work.
I mean, the rambling is actually getting worse. Yes, the former president of the United States of America, the man leading in the Republican primary, the man who is highly competitive in most swing states within the margin of error, winning based on some polling data, said, yeah, I would consider Tucker Carlson. The ratings would be great. Put up the picture full mass. This would be an okay conversation in the context of, let's say, The Apprentice. But this is in the context of actual policy that impacts people. Let me read this quote again. Trump said, I like Tucker a lot. I guess I would. I think I'd say I would because he's got great common sense. When they say that you guys are conservative or I'm conservative, it's not that we're conservative. We have common sense. We want to have safe borders. We want to have a wall because walls work. Let's be very clear. There is not a wall that a man has built that another man has not been able to climb over, tunnel under, or break through. Number one. Number two. The reality of Trump's diplomacy plan, his immigration plan, lacks nuance because he is incapable of actual independent, nuanced thought. He is basically a red meat giver. He's going to give you a talking point here, a talking point there. There's a reason why Republicans, as a party, they have no idea what they believe anymore. because their standard changed based on the proclamation of the madman named Trump. And let us not forget that during the Dominion lawsuit, we know what Tucker actually believes about Donald Trump, which by proxy gave us an idea of what he thinks of people who view his content. You see, Tucker told the truth in his text messages that Donald Trump is a wrecking ball. Donald Trump is a great evil, that Donald Trump is a liar, that Donald Trump is in fact going to bring everybody down. These things were exposed. Well, somehow they were able to spin a narrative outside of that in TV land that presented a different story. Would Trump actually make Tucker a VP? Of course not, because he knows how Tucker actually feels about him in real life. They just say something different on television. Trump will pick someone who's a member of his cult. That's who he would choose. All right, Jordan, thoughts here?
So the conventional approach for picking a VP is somebody who doesn't overshadow the presidential candidate. You saw that especially with Tim Kaine, the pick by Hillary Clinton. He was just a bland, vanilla, boring Democrat that a lot of people didn't even know of before that moment. But here, I can't imagine this would happen. He's saying it just because it will get attention. And you could see that in his reasoning. Oh, it'll get great ratings, right? So put aside the unlikelihood first. Let's just actually think about this if it were to actually happen. That would be an opposition researcher's dream, because Tucker not only has years worth of heinous comments that he made on Fox, it goes back even to when he was on MSNBC. And I worked at Media Matters when we dug up the Bubba the Love Sponge archives that Tucker called in every week. And what a ridiculous name, but he would call into this shock jock radio show out of Florida every week for years. And all of those episodes are stored in the cloud. So they already published some of the worst, like talking about underage girls in a sexual way, calling people in Iraq and Afghanistan semi-literate primitive monkeys, using racist impressions to talk about people of color. It goes, and that's just some of what was published. There are hours and hours of content just sitting there waiting for Tucker to stick his head back out again. So go for it. Pick him as your VP, because there is, as tough of a time it is for Biden right now, with his approval ratings plummeting, people not really generally supporting him, especially for how he's handling Gaza. This could be the one way that you help propel Biden to victory, because it would just be plastered and broadcast wall to wall, and moderates, people who don't really have strong party affiliation either way, aren't going to support somebody who has said something in all of these things that are so heinous.
Yeah, in a more normative political climate, I would 100% agree. But we have a Democratic president who is in complete lock and step against humanitarian efforts. We also have a societal construct, a normality that says we are going to reward bigotry and racism in our political class. So normally I would say, absolutely, yep. Today I'm like, Tucker may actually excite even more racist people. All right, we'll see what happens.